Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to Voices of Zara. Every story here hits deep, and today I'm sharing something that still gives me chills when I think about it. My name is Diane, and this is the story of how one confession at my anniversary party exposed a web of lies, betrayal, and secrets that would change everything. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Your support means the world to me. And to my loyal listeners, thank you for being here once again. Now, let me take you back to 3 months ago, when my perfect life began to unravel in the most unexpected way. I thought I had everything figured out. My husband, David, and I had been married for 10 years. We had a beautiful home, 2 wonderful children, and what seemed like the perfect life. David ran a successful tech consulting firm with his business partner and best friend, Jonathan. David and Jonathan had been inseparable since college. They built their company from nothing, just two guys in a garage with big dreams and bigger ambitions. Over the years, their firm grew into a multi-million-dollar business. Jonathan was always around. He came to our family dinners, our children's birthday parties, our holiday celebrations. He was like family. My kids called him Uncle John. He was handsome, successful, and perpetually single. Women threw themselves at him, but he always said he was married to the business. David would joke about it constantly. John needs to find a good woman and settle down, David would say, laughing. Maybe then he'd stop working 80-hour weeks. Jonathan would just smile, that enigmatic smile of his, and change the subject. I never thought much about it. Jonathan was David's best friend. He was part of our lives. That was just how it was. But looking back now, I see all the signs I missed. The way Jonathan's eyes would linger on me a moment too long when he thought no one was looking. The expensive gifts he'd bring for the family that were always somehow perfectly suited to my taste. The way he'd volunteer to help me with things, fixing the back gate, moving furniture, troubleshooting my laptop. That's what friends do. David would say when I mentioned it felt like too much. John's just being helpful. I believed him. I trusted them both completely. How foolish I was. About 6 months ago, things started to change. Subtle things that I rationalized away. David became distant. Distracted. He'd come home late from the office, smelling of expensive scotch, claiming he and Jonathan had been working on a major deal. He'd be glued to his phone, texting constantly. When I'd ask about his day, his answers became vague. Just business stuff, babe. Nothing you need to worry about. Our intimacy declined. Date nights disappeared. He stopped noticing when I wore his favorite dress or tried a new perfume. I told myself it was just stress from work. Big contracts. Growing pains as the company expanded. But then came the whispers. My friend Rachel pulled me aside at a coffee shop one afternoon, her face serious. Diane, I need to tell you something. I saw David last Thursday at the Bordeaux restaurant. He was with a woman, a young blonde. They looked close. My stomach dropped. Are you sure it was him? Positive. I almost went over to say hi, but something stopped me. The way they were sitting, the way she touched his hand. I'm sorry, but I thought you should know. I thanked her and drove home in a daze. When I confronted David that evening, he laughed it off. That was Melissa from the Madison account. John and I had a meeting with her team. He had to leave early, so I finished up the presentation. Rachel completely misread the situation. He seemed so genuine, so offended that I'd even question him, that I apologized for doubting him. But the seed of doubt had been planted. I started paying closer attention, checking credit card statements, noticing patterns. And then, 3 weeks before our anniversary, Jonathan did something strange. He came by the house when David was traveling for business. He said he needed to drop off some contracts for David to sign, but he seemed nervous, fidgety. Diane, he said as I walked him to the door, Can I ask you something personal? Of course, I replied, thinking he wanted advice about a woman or something innocent. Are you happy? In your marriage, I mean. The question caught me off guard. That's an odd thing to ask, John. I know. I'm sorry. I worry about you sometimes. You seem sad lately. I'm fine, I said, but my voice lacked conviction. He looked at me with such intensity that it made me uncomfortable. You deserve better than fine, Diane. You deserve to be cherished, to be someone's priority. Before I could respond, he left. I stood in the doorway, completely confused. What was that about? That night, I couldn't sleep. Jonathan's words echoed in my mind. The way he looked at me, the concern in his voice. And then it hit me like a freight train. Jonathan was in love with me. How long had he felt this way? Did David know? Was this why things had been so strange lately? My mind raced with possibilities, each more unsettling than the last. I decided not to mention it to David. Not yet. I needed to think. 2 weeks before our anniversary, everything came crashing down. David had left his laptop open on the kitchen counter. He'd gone upstairs to take a shower. I wasn't snooping. Honestly, I wasn't. I was just going to close it when I saw an email notification pop up from someone named Yes. The preview line read, "Can't wait to see you tonight. Wear that cologne I like." My hand started shaking. My heart pounded, so hard I thought I might pass out. I shouldn't have looked. I knew I shouldn't have, but I couldn't stop myself. I clicked on his email. What I found destroyed me. Months of correspondence, intimate messages, plans for secret meetings, explicit photos. Her name was Ashley Simmons. She was 26 years old, 10 years younger than me, a marketing consultant they'd hired for the firm. The emails painted a devastating picture. They'd been seeing each other for 8 months. Hotel rooms, weekend getaways disguised as business trips, gifts purchased with our joint credit card. But it got worse. So much worse. In one email chain, David wrote, "Diane suspects nothing. She's so busy with the kids and her part-time job, she doesn't even notice when I'm gone." Ashley replied, "When are you going to tell her? I'm tired of being the secret. You promised me we'd be together. David, soon, baby. After our anniversary. I can't ruin the party. Too many business contacts will be there. But right after, I'll tell her. Then we can finally be together." I sat on the kitchen floor, the laptop burning hot on my thighs, and cried silently so David wouldn't hear me from upstairs. But then I scrolled further and found something that made everything even more complicated. An email from Jonathan to David, dated 2 months ago. "I can't keep doing this, David. It's killing me. Watching you treat Diane like she's nothing while you parade around with that girl. She deserves so much better. She deserves someone who sees how incredible she is." David's response, "Stay out of my marriage, John. What I do with my wife is none of your business. Focus on the company and leave my personal life alone. Jonathan, she is my business. I care about her. More than you ever have. I've loved her since the day you introduced us, and I've watched you take her for granted for 10 years. I'm done pretending I don't see it. David, are you serious right now? You're in love with my wife? That's rich. You know what? After I leave Diane, maybe you can have her. My sloppy seconds. See if I care." I physically recoiled from the screen. Both of them had been keeping secrets. Both of them had been lying. But while David's betrayal filled me with rage, Jonathan's confession filled me with confusion. He'd loved me for 10 years and never said anything. The shower stopped running upstairs. I had maybe 3 minutes before David came down. I quickly forwarded all the incriminating emails to my personal account, cleared the sent folder, and closed the laptop. When David came downstairs, I was making dinner like nothing had happened. "Smells good," he said, kissing my cheek. The same cheek he'd been kissing for 10 years while secretly planning to leave me. Thanks, I said, my voice remarkably steady. Dinner will be ready in 20 minutes. That night, after David fell asleep, I sat in the dark living room and made a decision. If David wanted to use our anniversary party to maintain appearances before destroying our family, I would use it too, but not the way he expected. I called my sister, Jennifer, the next morning. Jennifer was a family law attorney, one of the best in the state. She'd handled dozens of high-asset divorces and knew every trick in the book. Over coffee, I showed her everything. The emails, the credit card statements, the evidence of David's affair and his plans to leave me. That bastard, she muttered, scrolling through the documents. But this is good, Diane. Really good. With evidence like this, we can destroy him in court. I don't want to just win in court, I said quietly. I want him to feel the same humiliation he was planning to put me through. Jennifer looked at me with new respect. What do you have in mind? I told her my plan. She grinned. That's brilliant and completely legal. Let's do it. The anniversary party was scheduled for 2 weeks from that day. I had to act fast. First, I hired a private investigator. His name was Marcus Chun, and Jennifer vouched for his discretion and thoroughness. Within a week, Marcus provided me with video footage of David and Ashley at various hotels, photographs of them kissing in his car, records of the separate apartment David had been renting for their meetings, evidence of money he'd been moving into a hidden account, proof that Ashley wasn't just a consultant. She was unemployed, and David had been supporting her financially. But Marcus found something else. Something that changed everything. Mrs. Morrison, he said during our final meeting, I need to show you something else. He pulled out another folder. While following your husband, I noticed he had frequent meetings with your business partner, Jonathan Hayes. Most were normal business meetings, but some weren't. He showed me photos of David and Jonathan arguing. In one, David was clearly angry, pointing his finger in Jonathan's face. In another, Jonathan looked devastated, turning away. They had a major falling out about a month ago, Marcus explained. From what I could gather from my sources at their office, Jonathan tried to quit the company. David convinced him to stay, but things have been tense. Jonathan had tried to leave because of me. The next piece of information was even more interesting. Jonathan Hayes has been seeing a therapist, Marcus continued. He's also been looking at properties out of state. I think he's planning to leave town. He was going to run away rather than watch David destroy our marriage. Something inside me shifted. Jonathan had kept his feelings secret for a decade. He'd watched me build a life with his best friend, never interfering, never crossing a line. And when he couldn't stay silent anymore, David had thrown it in his face. I made a decision then. Jonathan deserved to know the truth too. The next day I called him. John, can we meet? I need to talk to you about something. Alone, not at the office. He sounded surprised, but agreed. We met at a quiet cafe across town. Diane, what's going on? Is everything okay? I looked at this man who'd been part of my life for a decade, who'd loved me silently, selflessly, without expectation. No, John, everything is not okay, and I need you to know that I know. His face went pale. Know what? I know about Ashley. I know David's been having an affair. I know he's planning to leave me after our anniversary party. And I know about your conversation with him, about how you feel about me. He stood up abruptly. Diane, I'm so sorry. I never meant for you to find out. I never wanted to cause problems in your marriage. I was trying to protect you. Sit down, John, I said firmly. He sat. I'm not angry with you, I continued. I'm angry with David, and I'm angry at myself for being so blind. But I'm not angry with you for caring about me. Tears filled his eyes. I've loved you since the moment David introduced us, but you were his, and I would never, could never, do anything to come between you. I tried to bury it. I tried to move on. But watching him treat you like you're disposable while he's with that woman, I couldn't stay silent anymore. I know, I said gently. And I'm glad you said something, because it made me start paying attention. It made me see what was really happening. I pulled out a folder. John, I need your help. And I promise you, after this, you never have to see David again if you don't want to. I showed him everything. My plan. What I intended to do at the anniversary party. He stared at the documents, then at me. This is brilliant. Will you help me? He took my hand across the table. Diane, I would do anything for you. You have to know that. I do now, I said. Together, we refined the plan. Jonathan had access to all the company's financial records. He showed me where David had been hiding money, not just from me, but from the business. David had been embezzling from their company, siphoning funds into his secret account. I suspected something was off, Jonathan admitted. The numbers weren't adding up. But I never imagined he'd steal from our company. From me. He's been stealing from both of us, I said. But not anymore. The night of our anniversary party arrived. We'd rented out the ballroom at the Grand Hotel, David's idea. He wanted to impress business contacts and potential clients. Nearly 150 people were invited. I wore a stunning emerald green dress that David had never seen before. I looked powerful, beautiful, ready. When David saw me, he actually paused. Wow, you look incredible. Thank you, I said coolly. It's our anniversary. I wanted to look special. He kissed my cheek and I let him. One last time. The party was in full swing by 7:30. Business associates, friends, family, everyone we knew was there. David worked the room like the politician he'd always wanted to be. Shaking hands, telling jokes, playing the role of devoted husband. I watched him and felt nothing but contempt. Jonathan arrived at 8. He looked nervous but determined. When our eyes met across the room, he gave me a small nod. It was time. At 8:30, David clinked his champagne glass to get everyone's attention. Everyone. Thank you all for being here tonight to celebrate 10 years of marriage to this beautiful woman. Applause filled the room. People cheered. David put his arm around me. Diane has been my rock, my partner, the mother of my incredible children. These 10 years have been the best of my life. He turned to me, his eyes meeting mine. For a moment, I almost saw the man I'd married. Almost. I love you, he said. Here's to many more years together. The crowd cheered again. Glasses clinked. And then I took the microphone. Thank you all so much for being here, I began. Tonight is indeed special. It's a night for truth, for revelations, for showing people who you really are. David's smile faltered slightly. Diane, what? I held up my hand. David, please. I'm not finished. The room went quiet. People sensed something was off. 10 years is a long time, I continued. Long enough to think you really know someone. Long enough to build a life, a family, a future together. Long enough to believe in promises made at an altar. I turned to face him directly. But it's also long enough for someone to become very good at lying. Gasps rippled through the crowd. David's face went white. Diane, what are you doing? He whispered. I'm telling the truth, David. Something you seem to have forgotten how to do. I pulled out my phone and connected it to the ballroom's projection screen. The lights dimmed automatically. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to share some photos from my husband's recent business trips. The first image appeared on the screen. David and Ashley kissing outside a hotel. The room erupted in shocked whispers. David's mother gasped audibly. This is Ashley Simmons, I announced calmly. David's girlfriend for the past 8 months. More photos appeared. Different hotels. Different cities. Always the same woman in his arms. Stop this, David shouted. Turn it off. Why? You weren't planning to stop, I replied. In fact, according to your emails, you were planning to ask me for a divorce right after this party. After you finished using me to maintain your business reputation one last time. I pulled out printed emails and began reading them aloud. His promises to Ashley, his cruel comments about me, his plans to leave me with as little as possible. David's business partners stood up, their faces furious. His mother was crying. My family surrounded me protectively. But wait, I said. There's more. Jonathan stood up from his seat. All eyes turned to him. David hasn't just been betraying his wife, Jonathan announced, his voice carrying across the silent room. He's been embezzling from our company, stealing from the business we built together, from our employees, from our clients. He activated his own presentation, spreadsheets, bank records, transfers, all the evidence of David's financial crimes. I've already filed reports with the authorities, Jonathan continued. As of tomorrow morning, David Morrison is no longer part of Morrison Hayes Consulting, and he'll be facing criminal charges for theft and fraud. David lunged at Jonathan, but two of their employees held him back. You're in love with her, David screamed. You've always been in love with her. This is what this is really about. The room went silent. Jonathan looked at me, then back at David. Yes, I have been in love with Diane for 10 years, and I never said anything because she was your wife and I respected that. I respected you. But you know what? She deserves better than both of us keeping secrets from her. He turned to me. Diane, I'm sorry I never told you. I'm sorry I let my feelings for you compromise my judgment about telling you what David was doing. You deserve to know sooner. Then he did something that shocked everyone in the room. He walked over to me, took my hand, and dropped to one knee. My heart stopped. John, what are you? I'm not proposing, he said quickly, and nervous laughter rippled through the crowd. But I am making a promise, right here in front of everyone. He looked up at me with tears in his eyes. Diane, you are the most incredible woman I've ever known. You're smart, kind, strong, and beautiful. For 10 years, I've watched you be taken for granted by someone who didn't deserve you. I can't promise you anything except this. I will spend every day proving to you what you're worth. I will never lie to you. I will never betray you. And I will wait as long as it takes for you to heal from this and decide what you want. The room was completely silent. Everyone stared at us. I looked down at this man, this good, honest man who had loved me silently for a decade, who had helped me expose the truth tonight, who was offering me something real. And then I looked at David, who was being escorted out by security, still screaming about betrayal and lawsuits. I turned back to Jonathan and smiled. Get up, John, I said softly. You don't need to kneel to me. Ever. He stood and I hugged him. The room erupted in applause. That was 3 months ago. The divorce was finalized last week. Thanks to the evidence and David's attempts to hide assets, I received 75% of our marital property, full custody of the children, substantial child support, and alimony. David was fired from the company and is currently facing criminal charges for embezzlement. His relationship with Ashley ended 2 weeks after the party when she realized he was broke and facing jail time. Last I heard, he's living with his parents and working as a sales associate at an electronics store. Jonathan renamed the company Hayes Consulting. It's thriving. He hired me as the chief operating officer, not as a favor, but because I have an MBA and 15 years of business experience I'd put aside to support David's career. Working together has been interesting. We're not together. Not romantically. Not yet. I needed time to heal. To figure out who I am outside of being David's wife. To process everything that happened. But Jonathan has been patient. He's been a friend. A partner. Someone I can trust. Last week, he took me and the kids to the park. We were watching them play on the swings when he turned to me. No pressure, he said. No expectations. But I'd really like to take you to dinner sometime. Just the two of us. A real date. I looked at him, this man who had loved me selflessly for so long, who had helped me find my strength, who made me laugh and feel valued. I like that, I said. He smiled, and it was like the sun coming out. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if Jonathan and I will work out romantically. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. But I do know this. I'm no longer the woman who accepted being taken for granted. I'm no longer the woman who ignored the signs because confronting them was uncomfortable. I'm stronger now, wiser, more careful with my trust, and I will never, ever let anyone make me feel like I'm not enough again. As for David, I hear he's dating again. Some woman he met at the grocery store. I hope, for her sake, he learned something from all of this. But honestly, I don't think about him much anymore. I'm too busy building my new life. Thank you for listening to my story, dear friends. If you're in a situation where something feels off, where you're being made to feel like your concerns don't matter, where you're slowly losing yourself trying to please someone who doesn't appreciate you, please listen to that voice inside you. You're not crazy. You're not paranoid. You deserve honesty. You deserve respect. You deserve to be someone's priority, not their option. And sometimes the people who love us most are the ones who've been there all along, waiting quietly for us to see them. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button, subscribe to Voices of Zara, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, remember, your worth is not determined by how someone treats you. It's determined by how you treat yourself. Stay strong, stay blessed, and never settle for less than you deserve.